Alrighty, gang, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
What is it, this jacket or the other jacket? Which one?
This one.
The other one? All right.
This one.
Well, it is summit time. See, this is the t-shirt from last year, so everybody is going to the summit, right? Please raise your hand, even if you're not. Please. So if Kuba sees this video, he sees everybody raising their hand here, you know? But you're even going, right? Okay. A bunch to talk about as always. Suzanne is going to keep an eye out for Alex, our corporate attorney. He's going to jump on first, I hope, and talk about the lawsuits again and our errors and omission insurance policy. It's really important that you know what that policy covers. Not that you're going to mess up or whatever, but you need to know what it covers, okay? So while we're waiting for Alex, there he is. Good looking guy, Alex. They kicked you out, huh?
I know, get kicked out.
Leave the heat, right? So Alex has been with the company longer than I've been. I think he's been probably from the beginning, so 14, 15 years probably. Okay. All right, you guys know everyone's seated? All right, come on, have a seat. Everybody's comfortable? Wow. Alex, are you there? No. Oh, I hear you.
There's
That's your
a
phone.
one more.
Yeah.
There, you know
All right,
about the fire.
couple of things real quick.
Okay.
Those of you that have been here for a while, like Shirley, knows who this is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does anybody not know who this is?
Yes,
Right? Okay, some of you know. Kathy Little, Sue? There's feedback. Is that, can we turn? Kathy Little, been a realtor 25 years or so. 15 of them were with us. And 4 or 5 months ago, 6 months ago, out of the blue, she had a pain in her chest, and 6 weeks later, she died of cancer.
Oh, God.
Crazy, crazy. Big loss to us, to the community. She was a 6th degree black belt.
Wow.
She was like the 6th ranked 6th degree black belt, like in the world.
Wow.
We didn't even know this stuff. We just thought it was Kathy. You know, just little Kathy. But little did I know she's a kung fu master here. So they're going to be a celebration of life at the Emerald at Queensbridge. You're all invited if you want to come. Her sensei is a guy named Jeff Speakman. If you Google his name, Jeff Speakman, just the way it sounds, Speakman. You see all the stuff on this guy. Very, very well-known sensei, instructor, karate master, was in movies with Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee and all that stuff. Really good guy. So we'll talk more about it. We have some time until March 30th, but I just want everybody to know. In case you didn't know, we do have a summit coming up. Summit 24 is coming. Everybody got invited for free. Who's footing the bill? You don't have to register. As it says over here, we will auto-register you. We want to make it easy, so you don't have to worry about it, okay? It gets you to the walk. I'm sorry, it's Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Catch me when I mess up. There is a one walk on Sunday. You have to register for that. You all got this email. Now you're looking at it, I didn't get it, Tim. I don't know, you got it. Your email works that you gave us, you got it, okay? You click that little link if you want to go to the walk, it's free. And if you want to go to the women's luncheon, which is about a 2-hour luncheon at the Venetian on Monday, okay? It does not get you to the fancy schmancy thing where you get to wear crazy jackets like this Tuesday night, unfortunately. But you do get to go to the Sunday night welcome reception at the Venetian, which is all 3,000 Realty One agents. It's usually at the pool. In the past, we've been at the pool. No, like at Ario, it would be at the pool. I think at Cosmo was at the pool at the time. I know that you're coming, okay? We have new lock boxes. The old ones still work.
Can we trade our old one that we just bought last year in
I
for
think
that?
so. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll find out.
Okay.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think it's the same lockbox, just the new version of it. So they might not let you trade it up.
Okay.
Or they might. We'll find out. But that's next Thursday, 1 o'clock. Come on down. We'll have some food, I promise. Okay. This is kind of cool. This is, everyone got this email, and most of you don't open it. It comes from Realty One Corporate. I think it's on the Perk. It's the Perk weekly email or something. But if you scan that code, or go to the website in the email, you fill out 4 questions. Do everyone remember PPP? in 2000. A lot of people got like 20 grand, just looking at a form. This is the same thing. I talked to a manager in Arizona yesterday. He goes, send my agent, I showed him a link, he went on it, answered 4 questions, and he got $32,220. I don't know what he said, I don't know the answers to the questions, okay, but it's 4 questions.
Free, or you have to?
You just fill out, you answer the 4 questions, and it says you qualify, and then you have to send them some information about you. But he said half of you should get the money.
Wow.
Tax free. What a great country we live in. It's in there somewhere, yeah. Or it's on the Facebook page, or we emailed it to 14 times that you guys don't open your emails here, okay? But it's the Family First Coronavirus Response Act. If you want to follow that mouthful of stuff, if you want. So keep that in mind. Every Thursday, Maria's doing a great class, so if you want to come on Thursdays, and sometimes she has a topic like Sky Slope. Sometimes if you just bring a laptop in, she'll help you individually with whatever you want to know. Okay, so every Thursday, 11 o'clock with Maria. That's a great new calendar. Where's Wendy? Very nice, very nice. How you figure that crap out, but it looks nice. Okay. Kenzie, there you go, Kenzie, okay. Got some stats for now. I'll get back to them in a little bit. And before Maria comes up, and before I forget, we all know that Amy quit on us, right? Amy's unbelievable, right? We had a really nice person at the front desk.
Tim, you gotta tell them why though.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
She got a job working for TikTok.
And she makes a ton of money per
Making
post.
5 times what we were paying.
Yes, exactly.
She has 1 million followers on TikTok.
1.3.
And we interviewed probably 7 or 8 people before we hired someone. And this person we hired is actually a friend of Amy's. Which is kind of cool. So if you don't know who the girl right there is, she asked her.
What about you gonna TikTok too?
So be nice in the beginning if, something goes wrong in the office, she doesn't have all the answers. She's been here 3 days.
Be nice.
Let's hope she comes back tomorrow, okay, after meeting all you guys here, okay, hopefully she'll show up tomorrow. But, give her a little time to get acclimated, she's doing great, it's day 4, so, Brianna, we're happy you to be here, okay? All right. Miss Compliance Guru, Maria, come on down, what do we got here? Maria.
Okay, unfortunately, because I'm in compliance, I get all these files from you guys, so I get trends coming through. Unfortunately, the trend right now are cancellations of buyers. So if you're a listing agent, it goes into escrow. Sometimes you never even get EMD, and they cancel the week, later. So the issue is, how do you cancel out your file? So I want to make sure I go through this stuff with you, because it's important because of the fact that once you put a cancellation in there, we're not going to cancel out your SkySlope file until your file is correct. So in SkySlope, under working documents, you have a checklist, and that checklist has little red marks on it that say core document. Your file has to have every one of those core documents in there before we can cancel your file out. So a buyer's agent, you need to make sure the cancellation's in there, you need to make sure that your duties owed is in there, your RPA, your counters, addendums. Most important is EMD receipt. You have to have that EMD receipt, okay? If you did not get EMD because it canceled a week into it, get an email from the title company that says, we never received EMD. Upload that email into the EMD section, and then you're in compliance with that, okay? If you're a listing agent, unfortunately, it's a little bit harder for you guys, because you need to go into SkySlope to the very bottom on the listing side, and you need to upload all the documents that you have from the buyer, so the RPA, counters, addendums, EMD, all of that goes into the canceled buyers tab. You have to have all of that in there before we can then reactivate your listing, and then you can put in the new buyer, okay? any questions with that, cause I know I'm getting questions on that every day on the phone. No questions? Yay.
Any paperwork questions from Maria? Anything about a rental, or how you get paid, or sky slope, or, no, we're all kind of good?
Alright.
We all got this? Okay?
I like
Maria. All right, where's the shower? Wendy, words of wisdom with Wendy.
Okay, well, first everyone, well, we have this, but I wanna kinda go over a couple of things. We have a lot of new agents in here, so just so you guys know how it works, every Thursday from 9:30 to 10:30, we have an office meeting. So you're gonna come in and sign in, because we do a little drawing, so if you don't sign in, you don't participate in the drawing. But also with our classes, we want you to just sign in so we know who's attending and whatnot. We don't have drawings for the classes, but at least we know who's showing up, and then that way, sometimes if I have packets of paperwork, I can email out to everybody that's actually signed in. So the signing in is really super important. We usually have a sign-in sheet and packets of paper to grab no matter what we're doing, so it's always usually on that front table there. Also, if you're newer, I know all of this is kind of confusing, so I just kind of want to touch upon how the systems work, because you're logged into Zone and all of this, the LVR stuff, there's a lot of systems. So just a little recap is you're gonna make all of your documents in Transaction Desk. Once they're filled out, they go into our digital file storage area called SkySlope. So I know you're hearing SkySlope, Transaction Desk, all of these words, so just know you fill them out in Transaction Desk and then they upload them into SkySlope. So that's just that. And we'll touch upon that if you haven't gotten to that point yet, don't worry about it, there's plenty of time, but when everybody's talking about it, at least you understand what we're talking about. Summit, I'm gonna go over again. If you can only even just come for a day or a half a day, please just show up. Or again, if you win a contest, I'm super competitive about the contest. So the more agents that show up, we just wanna really promote our office as well between the, other Nevada offices, that we have the most agents that actually attend what we're doing. We're gonna try to kind of meet in a certain area or try to sit together or whatnot, because everybody's asking me where we go, where do we sit, how do we meet up? But take as many pictures as you can there, text them to me, email them to me, just so we know, because we're gonna put them on our rotating picture thing and all that stuff, so
Right.
just.
Tell me about the hashtag on the wall there. ROGNV.
So whenever you take pictures, if you can hashtag ROGNV, it will go on the rotating screen out front. And then on the website and all that, like anything that you log in, so we want to see your pictures, so please just take pictures. Tim's always writing me, I'm really bad at it, he's like, take pictures, I'm like, oh, okay, I forget. But so please just show up whenever you can, even if it's just for Sunday or just one day, Monday or Tuesday, or the whole time would be great, because we're having tons of workshops and motivational stuff, so we would love for you guys to attend that. Also, if you guys want to refer an agent to come and see what we do, at Realty One Group, they're more than welcome to come to Summit for free as well. They have to be not a new agent, not somebody that's thinking about taking real estate school. They need to be coming from another brokerage, because we really do want to encourage them to maybe look at what Realty One has. But we need the names by tomorrow so we can call them and put them on the list. So if anybody has anybody they want to take or invite to Summit, just let Tim or myself know, and then we can call them, vet them, make sure they're from another brokerage, and then put them on the list. All right, and then one more thing is next Thursday on the 31st, Tim Simmons is doing a class for us. Great class. It's called Mastering Open Houses. If you haven't done them, it's great. If you've done them before and are just reintroducing them, just go to this class and see. It's like preparing the 7 days prior to your open house, just getting everything organized and what it all entails. It's at 11 a.m. at Raw Title Southwest. It is not in this office, guys. It's at Raw Title Southwest. So, but Tim will be hosting it for us. Thank you so much, Tim. Really appreciate it. Yeah.
And it's live,
Yeah.
in person, like not recorded.
But yeah, they'll be there. And then I just kind of found this last night. I was like, I really do like that. 15 ways to develop a growth mindset. So accept that you don't have to achieve perfection. And a lot of us do that. We're like, oh, I can't, I'm trying to make this postcard and it takes weeks to make a postcard. Just put something out there or a post. Yeah, so just go through that. There's just kind of growth, things to grow, and don't be so critical about yourself, things that you do, because I think we all get into that mindset. So just something to think about, but that's it. Thank you so much. Yay!
I understand our agents pay a yearly fee, I believe it's $495, let's call it $500 in Nevada. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what coverage you guys get. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the lawsuits and give you some updates there. I did a presentation yesterday. I don't know if anyone attended. Can I have a raise of hands if anyone heard Alex Mihai speak yesterday on the commission lawsuits? Okay, a couple people. All right, so we'll chat about that. Maybe if you hear it the second time, it'll just all sink in and you'll be an expert yourself of what's going on there. And then I'll take some questions. If you guys have general questions and I'm comfortable answering them, I will answer them to the extent that I can. If I'm uncomfortable answering them, I will tell you why I'm uncomfortable answering the question. Okay, legal disclaimer real quick. I am general counsel for the company. I have one client, that's Realty One Group International. I'm not the attorney per se for our real estate agents, so what I tell you today is not legal advice. I'm not acting as your attorney. I'm just generally telling you, opinions that I have. I'm giving you some guidance here and there, but I'm not giving you legal advice. If you would like to speak to me personally about a situation you have, great, we can set up a call, we can get Tim on the call. Any legal matters you guys have, any claims against you, anybody complaining about what you've done, or how you've done it, or maybe that you've misrepresented, all that should go to Tim. All that should go to Tim. Tim works closely with our broker in Nevada, who is Mark Otero. The two of them work closely with me, and we get things resolved that way. If I can't resolve it, we have a firm in Summerlin, actually located in Summerlin. The firm handles all sorts of defense litigation. They handle our E&O claims, and so we go to them if we need them as well. So you have a legal team in place if needed. Okay. Let's start with our E&O coverage. E&O refers to errors and omissions. I will talk just an incredible amount for your insurance. You pay us $500 a month, and this is sort of the coverage that you get for that money.
$500 a year, a year.
$500 a year, sorry. $500 a year. Yes. Yes. So, the coverage that we have a $2 million policy per claim. So if you get sued, or if a claim is made against you arising out of a transaction that you closed, the coverage for that claim is going to be $2 million. We think that's a fair price given the market that we're in. The price point in Nevada is somewhere between, for single family homes, somewhere between $500,000 and let's say $700,000. So we feel $2 million is going to cover us for the majority of claims that we do. So that's what we have there in terms of coverage. Our policy period, this is important for you to understand. Our policy period runs from July 24 to July 24. Okay? So our coverage expires July 24, 2024. It's important because when we have a claim made against us, we have to report that claim within the policy period. And the policy says we have to report our claims within a reasonable amount of time. So, if you receive a text message today, let's say, from a former client, and the client says, look, Tim, you did a great job helping me to buy this house. I like the house, but I just found out recently that there's a problem with the roof, and the roof leaks because we've had some rains recently, and I feel the seller knew about the leaky roof. Nobody told me about the leaky roof. If I would have known about the leaky roof, I would have paid a different amount for that house. I'm gonna sue the seller and the seller's broker for not telling me. And they do that, and there's a claim. And maybe they say in that same text message, did you know about this? Did you know about the roof? Did you talk to the other agent about the roof? Did everybody know except for me? And a claim is filed. And don't really focus on whether the person is right or wrong or disputing them or hey, you got your facts wrong. Don't worry about that. At the outset, just think to yourself, is someone saying I did something wrong? Because if they are, we need to have insurance coverage for it. The time to figure out if you actually did something go wrong or not is years away when we're in front of a jury. So we're not worried about that at the outset. We're worried about, do we have insurance coverage? That's the first question I ask myself. I get claims and files in front of me all the time. I don't really care who's right or wrong. I mean, I do, but that's not the first question I ask myself. First question I ask myself is, who is going to pay the legal defense here? Who's going to pay the representation? So if I have insurance, it's an easy question to answer. So you guys that get that text message from your client that's unhappy with services, the client thinks he's been lied to or misrepresented to, that technically, if there's an allegation of wrongdoing and it's seeking some sort of remedy, I want a new roof, I want some money for it, that would be considered a claim under the eyes of our policy. So if we want coverage for it, you can't just sit on your text message, for months on end. We have to report that within a reasonable time, and for sure we have to report it before July 24. Everybody understand it? Okay, good. So that's number one. So if you get a claim against you, if you're an agent, number one, and if you don't know if it's a claim, you're like, I don't know what this really means. I'm looking at this thing, I think they're not happy. Instead of just writing them back, like all sorts of words that can get us in trouble later on. Like, are you kidding me? You were told these things. And yeah, I knew about it, but you should have known about it too because you had an inspection. You don't want to write that. You don't want to write anything. You just want to read what they wrote you in an email or a letter or whatever. Go to Tim and say, Tim, I got this email or this text or whatever it is. What do you think I should do? Tim is going to call me, we're going to call Mark, and we're going to round table what we should do. I will likely call you and get your version of things. And the first thing we'll do is, if we believe it's a claim, we'll report it. And we always err on the side of caution. Even if we're not sure, we report it. We'll report it to our insurance carrier to make sure we have our legal team in place and their fees are paid for. Because the last thing we want is for Agent Smith or Agent Charlie or Agent Betty to pay her own legal fees. Okay? Everyone good with that? Okay. So, what is the coverage? Generally, our policy covers any wrongful acts or omissions in the course and scope of professional services. It's pretty broad. It's just like a paragraph in the policy. So anything arising out of a transaction that someone says you were negligent, you misrepresented, you were dishonest, you breached the fiduciary duty because you should have told them something, you didn't, you should have showed up at a certain time, you didn't. That all should fall under professional services, okay? The policy also has several pages of what's called exclusions. I'm gonna go over some of the exclusions with you. These are things under the policy that you don't have coverage for. So if you do these things, and they're not necessarily illegal, you can do them, but just understand if you do one of these things and someone says you made a mistake out of one of these items, you won't have coverage for it. So it'll help if I give you examples. For example, our insurance policy has, I would say like 20 or 30 exclusions. Number one, bodily injury. We don't have any insurance coverage if you want to get in a fight with another agent at an open house because they look at you funny and you want to just punch them in the face. There's no coverage for that. If you want to poison the drink of another agent and offer them some water, but you stick your little thing in there and they fall asleep and then you take their client, there's no coverage for that kind of stuff. No coverage for bodily injury. Don't fight with anybody. Employment practices. If you have a team or you're on a team and you guys have an employee, like an administrative employee, and that employee wants to sue the team because they were discriminated against and they were fired wrongfully and you said something to them, that's not going to be covered under an E&O policy. Any fraudulent or dishonest acts are not covered under the policy. This one is tricky because if you admit that you did something fraudulent, you won't have coverage. But if the allegation in the complaint is that you lied and that you misrepresented because you knew the condition of the roof was bad, but you said it was fine, if your recollection of the events was, look, I never said anything about the roof. I never got on the roof. I was there when the inspector was there, but I have no idea what his findings were. I don't know anything about it. And that's a question of fact for the jury to answer. The insurance company will reserve any denial of coverage until we hear from the jury on that. I hope that makes sense. But if at the outset you admit that you're a liar, that you lied to somebody, or there's an email that says something reflecting a lie or dishonest act or something, you won't have coverage for it. This policy is not meant to protect people that are intentionally being dishonest and lying to clients or breaching their duties. Does that make sense? Although the allegation against our agents is likely that they misrepresented something, they should have known something, they should have seen something, that will have coverage as long as you don't admit at some point that you knew something and you lied about it anyways. We wait for the jury and the judge to tell us if there was a dishonest act committed, and that has coverage. You guys see the distinction?
Yes.
Okay. Yes? Questions on that? Okay. A couple more. Any illegal profits or profiting from a transaction. So I had a case one time in California. And in California, we had a seller's agent, who was our agent, working with the seller. The seller bought this beautiful little property in Laguna Beach. She was attempting to redo the property and invest money into it, so it was a complete remodel. And the listing agent had a listing agreement with us. The listing agreement said we're gonna make, 2.5% or whatever it was. But on the side, that seller, who was an investor trying to buy this property for $1 million and then sell it for $2 million, had some sort of side agreement with our agent that said, look, if you sell it between 1.2 million and 1.3 million, I'll give you some more money. I don't remember what the exact it was. And if you sell for 1.5 to 1.7, I'll give you more money. If you said, they sort of had a partnership when it came to sell this property. We were denied partial coverage in that one because it appeared to be some sort of profiting agreement between the seller and the agent. So if you do that, I'm not saying you can, but if you do that, you're not gonna have insurance coverage for it. I don't know if it's necessarily illegal for you to have a side agreement with somebody. I know that we don't teach that, we don't, sort of promote that. We promote, have a listing agreement, tell them what your services cost, and that's how you get paid. If you wanna do something outside of that system, then you risk having insurance coverage if there's an issue. And in that case, it was a big lawsuit. When I say big lawsuit, it was valued over $500,000. And we ended up settling the case, and we didn't like that agent very much because he did a lot of things behind the back of the brokerage. That's how we felt, at least at the brokerage. Okay, so if you're gonna do something like a little side gig, I would be totally candid with Tim. I'd tell Tim about it, I'd get his opinion on it. Don't just do it, number one, because you won't have insurance coverage. And it was really awful for that agent when I went to him and said, hey dude, you gotta pay your own insurance fees here. You gotta pay your own lawyers here because I'm not getting insurance coverage to the extent that I want it. So you've messed up my ability to have coverage as your supervisor, the brokerage supervisor, and you've messed up your ability to have coverage. Okay, pollutants. We typically don't have coverage for pollutants. So if there's an allegation of mold or mushrooms or asbestos or any of that sort of stuff, insurance companies don't like to cover that because it's very high exposure. It gets in the little boy's lungs, and the little boy doesn't live until 75 anymore. The little boy's going to be passing away at 45 because that's what the expert said his life expectancy is because he was breathing in the mushrooms. So be very careful in cases where there's, sometimes you might smell an odor or something, or I don't know how it works. I know you guys aren't trained to detect mold. I know that. But when there's allegations in a complaint involving mold, or you saw the green mushrooms growing on the wall and you had a picture of it and you didn't tell anybody, that is likely going to raise the concerns of an insurance company. They don't want to be involved in mold litigation or asbestos-related litigation because they're very high exposure cases. Your $500 a year that you pay me is not going to cover the multi-million-dollar lawsuit for the little baby that was breathing in the mold for 2 years. So if you have any allegations like that, a claim involving some sort of pollutant, let us know right away so we know how to sort of mold those facts and allegations into an area of coverage. Make sense? Because there will be two allegations. There'll be an allegation that you misrepresented stuff and you were negligent, and there'll be an allegation that there's mold and asbestos present and you failed to disclose it. We might have coverage under here where you were negligent, but we won't have coverage here. I need to get some sort of coverage. So that's where I sort of play a role in carefully crafting what the plaintiff is saying so it fits under coverage. Does that make sense? Okay. Trade practices and antitrust. That's not covered under this policy. So if someone's alleging that this includes tortious interference with another's business, so you have another agent and they have a client and you steal their client and they have a contract with that person, that's not really included. Anti-competitive practices, you're trying to fix a commission, which we'll talk about later, with somebody else and standardize it somehow, and someone alleges that you're price fixing or something or boycotting somebody, that's not covered under an E&O policy. Discrimination type stuff is not covered, so if you're going to If you're gonna choose, the white guy or the minority to buy that house, that stuff is not covered. We shouldn't be doing anything like that. Everyone gets equal opportunity to present their offer to our listings. That's the way it works. If allegations of discrimination are not covered under professional services, so be careful. Especially be careful in like landlord-tenant situations. We always have landlords, not always, but we've had this, tell our agents, hey, I don't want any kids in that house. Rent it out to this particular looking type of person. I don't want any kids. I don't want any old people because they might fall or something. I don't know. That's all falls under age discrimination, race discrimination. I don't want any folks that are not heterosexual in there. I just want that. So that all is going to be considered discrimination. We don't have coverage for that. So don't do that stuff. Don't do that stuff not because it's in the policy not to do it. Just don't do it because it's not being a good human being, I guess.
Do you suggest that we just quit on the client or take notes and tell them it's illegal?
It depends on exactly what the client is asking. Every situation is different. I try to resort to putting on the client as the last resort. I try to talk some sense into them. Hey, listen, I know that you love this house. I know that it's special to you. You live there, now you want to lease it. I know that you think, kids, under the age of 6, whatever, might mess it up and they'll get it, whatever. But there's some laws out there that prevent us from doing that. What my job is to present you with all offers on this home that I think are going to be the most competitive for you to consider. And they're going to include everything across the board. They're going to include kids and races and everything else. And it's for you to determine what the best offer for you is. Say it that way or something like that. If they still come back and say, no, I don't want all the offers, I only want the offers with no kids. If they push you on that, then I would go to Tim and say, hey Tim, I got some weird stuff here. I'm in a predicament. I don't want to violate any laws. I mean, forget about like the policy, because you're not going to have insurance coverage for that, number one. I don't like that part of it. Because if you get sued later on by the family that didn't get the house, and they presented the best offer and they offered the most monthly rent, they're going to bring a claim and we're not going to have insurance for it. That's a problem. The bigger problem is that we've committed probably some sort of violation of the Fair Housing Act. I don't want to deal with that either. So putting on the client is the last resort after we've tried to talk sense to them and they're just stubborn in their ways, they're not going to change their mindset. I would probably try to get away from that sort of client just in general. Okay, the last one I'll say on this, and I'll talk about another subject, is any warranties or guarantees. This comes up a little bit. If you make a warranty or a guarantee, I promise to sell your house at $1 million. Yeah, we can do it. Don't promise that. Definitely don't promise that in writing. Don't guarantee that if they remodel the kitchen and invest $50,000 in that remodel, that they're going to be selling it for $1 million instead of $900,000. Don't do those things. We've had cases like that before, where the agent is working with an investor type client, and the agent is making representations that sound very much like guarantees or promises around how much money can be made if certain money is invested to remodel something, or hey, you know what, just spend $20,000 really landscaping this place, and instead of selling it for $500, we're going to be able to sell it for $600. Don't do that. Be very careful in how you say things. I know it might sound interesting to your client because they're more likely to want to retain you and hire you because you told them these wonderful things about how much more they can sell their house for. But if it doesn't pan out that way, they might sue you, which we've had in the past, for guaranteeing something that doesn't turn out to be true. And we won't have insurance coverage for it if they have you in writing saying, guarantee, blah, 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 or I promise you this. So just be careful. Say, if it comes to a listing price that you guys can't agree on, say, hey, I'm going to look at all the home sales in this neighborhood, similar to yours in the last, 6 months. We're going to be very competitive. You have a beautiful house. We'll see what those homes sold for, and then you can make a decision on what you want to sell your home for. Just base it off of facts and statistics and stuff like that. In my experience, when a home has a beautiful lawn and entryway and landscape, they're likely to get more money from buyers because buyers are looking for a home that's landscaped. You can say that. When they say, how much more money? Well, I can't tell you every situation is a little bit different, but my experience is that they're going to get more money, not less money, when the house is landscaped. Just, general stuff like that is okay. There was one more I wanted to mention. I know I'm going fast, guys, but I want to get as much to you as I can. This kind of goes into the last thing we talked about. Any advice you give outside the scope of your professional services, and your professional services include real estate related services. So if you give, for example, tax advice, investment advice, legal advice, engineering advice, construction advice, all those things that are outside of your real estate scope of services, you will be denied coverage for that. So if there's a claim made by somebody that purchased a home, and the claim is, look, I got this home under the representation made to me by my Realty One Group agent that said, I will be able to receive this tax benefit, and I will, pay 10% less taxes if I lease this home out and do this thing. I relied on that buying this home, and in fact, I only received the 5% benefit from the IRS, not the 10% benefit. If we get sued for something like that, or construction advice, hey, you know what, you can build this pergola out here, I know a contractor, you can do these things, and this is what it would look like, and you give them some ideas and plans, and you're exceeding the scope of real estate services, we don't get coverage for stuff like that. So I know that you guys in your jobs mean everything to anyone. They want to ask you everything. They want to ask you legal advice. They want to say, do you think I'll get sued if this or that, or do you think I should form a trust or this? You have to sort of be delicate in weighing and balancing how you talk to your client, because you don't want to say, look, I can't talk about that because I don't have insurance coverage for describing things outside the scope. So you don't want to do that. You want to be helpful, and you want to say, look, that's a very good question. You might want to speak to a lawyer about it, but in my experience, a lot of people I've worked with have formed trusts in the past. That's not giving you advice to go form a trust or not. That's just saying that you've worked with clients that have formed that. So just be kind of delicate about it. Don't do any of this stuff in writing for sure. If you do it in writing, then we're going to be hard pressed to get coverage. If you just do it orally with your clients, it's a he said, she said, I'll probably get coverage for it. Just be careful. I'm not telling you guys to do it. I'm just saying if you're going to have conversations, because I know they exist, do it orally, not in writing. Okay, that's our policy. All I'll say is this: I'm not part of the decision-making process and what agents pay for the E&O policy. There's a whole other group at Realty One Group that decides that. I know that our policy covers a whole lot more than some of our competitors. Tim probably knows that better than me. I also am of the understanding that the rates that we charge our agents for our E&O policy is less than our competitors, especially brokerages of a similar size that do this type of business that we do. Our rates go up every year because we seem to have more agents. The prices of homes seem to go up. I know it's been kind of quiet the last year, but insurance companies don't care because the bigger that we get, the more transactions that we do, the bigger their exposure. I know that we've been pretty consistent the last, 3 years, I'd say, in raising anyone's rates. So I think that's an advantage. So that's all I'll say about the policy. If you guys have any more specific questions about it, you can address it with Tim or myself. I will talk now about litigation and antitrust claims. How does that sound? Okay. It looks like nobody has tilted their head and fallen asleep quite yet, so I appreciate that. And we'll talk now a little bit slower because I feel like some of the antitrust lawsuit stuff is a little more difficult to comprehend, for me included. I'm not an antitrust expert at all. I am a general counsel, not a specific counsel. I like to note that every now and then. So what is the state of the union, sort of? You guys know that in October, there was a verdict reached in Missouri by a Missouri juror against defendants NAR, Keller Williams, and Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. That verdict was in the tune of about $1.8 billion. Damages were then multiplied automatically because that's what happens in antitrust cases. So we have about a $5 billion verdict total there. What was the allegation? Tim, is there a screen that everyone's seeing now that I can share stuff, or no?
Yeah, if you could, you want me to share the screen with you?
There is.
Yeah, I gotta share it with you. Let me make you
Let me see if I can share something. You guys tell me if you can see it, because it's one thing if I say it, it's another thing if you guys can view a couple things.
It was on the bottom, share screen.
You should be able to, you're a co-host now, Alex, you should be fine. Hit your share screen button.
Great.
Thanks for teaching us that. Now I know how to do that for my Zoom meetings.
Wonderful.
Does everyone see what's on my screen? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you see what's on my screen. Okay, I'm having a difficulty hearing. We have an event here. I'm sitting in Orange County, California, and we're having an event here. There's about 130 agents downstairs that are doing something that sounds a lot more fun than what we're doing. So they are, I'm having problems hearing you guys, so if you want to ask a question, just be very loud. Okay, so in the Missouri case, what was the issue? It's the same issue that's being alleged in all these copycat suits. We had one in Nevada that was filed about 2 weeks ago, okay? The main allegation is that the defendants, that's us, that's the industry, that's NAR and Keller and Berkshire, that they violated antitrust laws by forcing the sellers to pay the buyer's commission, and they did that because we've all agreed to follow what's called NAR's clear cooperation rule, okay? What is NAR's clear cooperation rule? Let's see. Okay, you guys see this screen now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, so we all know that when we take a listing and we want to put it on the MLS, which we all, I think, agree that is the most effective way to sell a property or market a property, that when we put it on the MLS, we have to make an offer of compensation to the buyer's broker. Does everyone do that?
Yes.
For the most part, you take a listing, you put it on the MLS, and there's a little section there where you offer compensation to the buy side. You don't have to offer 5% or 2% or anything. You can offer $1, you can offer 0 if you want. But there's a line for you to do that. Follow me? Okay, at the time when these lawsuits were filed, the rule that NAR had was that you'd have to offer a percentage of the sale price to the buy side or a fixed dollar amount. And it could be as little as $1. It didn't say what the dollar amount had to be. The plaintiff said that following this rule is a conspiracy. We're all in cahoots, and it standardizes rates. The sellers were upset, allegedly, because this rule is designed to have the seller pay the commission of the buyer's agent, okay? And they feel they shouldn't have to do that, because that buyer's agent is working against them. That buyer's agent has a different interest in the seller. That buyer's agent is trying to negotiate against the seller, so why am I, the seller, trying to pay that guy's commission? Why do I have to do that? Well, I have to do it because your rule says I have to do it. So that's how they sort of frame that case. We know on our end that an agent, a listing agent, negotiates the commission with the seller. Hey, there's a ton of work for me to do here. I'm going to charge you 8% to sell your house. You can do that. And of that 8%, I'm going to offer 4% to anyone that brings us a buyer. Because your house, although I love you, it's a mess. It has bad paint, you've got too many animals living in here, landscaping is horrible, it's going to be tough to move this house and market this house. So we're going to offer 4% to this side. You good with that? Okay, I'm good with that. That's how the conversation typically goes, something like that. Maybe not quite like that, but not that extreme, but for the most part, every example I know is our agents are pretty candid in describing to their seller how much compensation will be offered to the buy side for bringing them a buyer. That's how we cooperate in our industry. Everyone follow that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yes?
Yes.
Okay. That was a problem. The jury was asked these questions. Did a conspiracy exist? Did the conspiracy impact the commission fees? Did the defendants knowingly or voluntarily act on it? And if yes, what's the damages? They answered basically yes to all these things, and we have ourselves a verdict. Okay. So, what's happening today? What's happening today? Today, after the verdict was lost about a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, the defendants filed a motion for a new trial. They're seeking a new trial. Why are they seeking a new trial? So when you ask the judge for a new trial, you can't really debate facts and say, well, this isn't true, that isn't true. You have to ask the judge to decide things based on the law or evidence that was allowed in. If you say the judge made a mistake because you allowed in the gloves and the gloves didn't fit, that was an evidentiary mistake you allowed. And I had an objection to that. Those gloves were hearsay, or they were not authenticated correctly, or whatever it is. You allowed that evidence in, it was prejudicial to me, the jurors were allowed to hear it, and all of a sudden, the jury voted against my client. So what NAR is saying now is incorrect jury instructions were used in instructing the jury. I'll try to explain this as best I can. It's a little bit difficult to comprehend. It's difficult for me too, but this is what they're saying. This is a legal argument that they're making. So, defendants say that the questions the jury were asked to answer, the ones I just kind of showed you there, it wasn't written like that exactly, but more or less. Those questions rested on a premise that the plaintiffs presented sufficient evidence to establish a per se violation of antitrust law. So the jury was instructed on a per se basis of antitrust law. If you don't know what per se means, I'll tell you right now the best I can. I took a class, it took me 6 months to figure this out, but hopefully we can figure it out in about 30 seconds here. There are two standards used in antitrust law. One is per se. If there's a per se violation, it means that the facts, per se is Latin for by itself. The facts by themselves show one of two things: price fixing or boycotts. If you have facts that inherently show those things, you don't need any further analysis. We can instruct the jury directly if there was a conspiracy, if these guys followed the conspiracy, and if it resulted in a restraint on trade. That's per se. The alternative is to instruct the jury on what's called a rule of reason basis. Under a rule of reason analysis and jury instruction, which didn't happen here, but they're saying it should have, under a rule of reason instruction, the jury would have been asked to balance the competitive harm of the clear cooperation rule versus its competitive benefits. So under the rule of reason instruction, had that been applied, the fact finders, the juries, would have weighed all the circumstances in the case in deciding whether a restrictive practice, like that rule that says you have to make an offer to the buy side, that's a restrictive practice. Potentially, right? Because it makes you do something you don't have to necessarily do, but we're making you do it because that's the rule. Even though that's prohibitive, we look at the restraint's history, its actual effect, the nature of it, and we look mostly at what were the intentions behind the people that drafted that thing. So there's all sorts of competitive benefits to our system in the MLS. Number one, it allows buyers not to have to pay directly for their services. So first-time buyers, low-income buyers, they get representation without having to pay for it out of their pocket. It comes from the listing. That's a benefit. Would you agree?
Yes.
Who would agree that's a benefit? Who would agree that if a first-time buyer had to pay $20,000 in commission, that first-time buyer would either wait longer or not get the house they wanted or have a shitty negotiation process because they have no representation? Who agrees with that?
Or would never buy.
Right, so even though the rule is restricted because it makes you offer compensation to the other side, the rule has pro-competitive benefits.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So because the judge didn't evaluate this case and instruct the jury on a rule of reason basis and instead on a per se basis, assuming that the facts suggested that there was a conspiracy, and so we're just going to decide whether that conspiracy led to price fixing. We're not going to weigh and balance any pro-competitive benefits. So NAR and the other defendants weren't allowed to get all this shit in there into evidence. Understand? So NAR's former president testified at trial that the rule, the clear cooperation rule, which we all follow, was adopted for the pro-competitive purpose of boosting buyer representation in the real estate market and increasing the number of first-time buyers. That's why the rule was drafted. So his intent was not to be weighed and balanced by that jury. Why that rule was drafted and the benefits of that rule. So that's why NAR is challenging the jury instructions. They're asking the court to reconsider that had they instructed the jury on the rule of reason basis, we would have been able to discuss all that our practices promote in the real estate industry from a competitive standpoint. Okay? The idea that a brokerage our size, we have 19,000 agents, I don't really know, 19,000 agents across our network with franchise owners. Corporate agents in Nevada, I don't know, we have maybe 1,500 agents, another 3,000 or so in Arizona. These are our corporate agents. We have a big company, let's say. bigger than most companies. However, a small brokerage in Nevada that has 10 agents, let's say, they're on the same playing field with us when it comes to servicing their client because we all have equal access to the MLS. So if I'm at a brokerage with 10 agents and I have a client, I can show them all the properties that they want in their criteria that you can show them even though you're with a much larger brokerage. Is that a benefit? Is that a benefit to the little guy? Yes, it is. It's a benefit to smaller brokerages that they can be on the same playing field. Just like with the, let's say, Keller Williams, they have 120,000 agents nationwide. They're bigger than us. That's fine. Good for them. We love Keller Williams, I guess. But we're on the same playing field. We're on the same playing field with Keller Williams because we can service our clients just as well as they can because we have equal access to our MLSs. Does this make sense? There are tons of benefits to the way we practice real estate here. The jury was not instructed on evaluating this pro-competitive benefits. Okay, so why do I tell you this? I tell you this because in my mind, there's a chance that we succeed on this motion for new trial. If we don't succeed, then NAR is likely going to raise the same issues that the jury was misinstructed, and we should apply a rule of reason standard, not the per se standard to antitrust law, to determining if there was an antitrust violation. They're gonna argue the same thing on appeal. Okay, so when are we gonna find all this out? When are we gonna find out who the winner is? Well, at least for the Sitzer case, in the Sitzer case, imagine that was filed in 2020. The first lawsuit was Morrell, that was filed in Illinois in 2019. So we're like 5 years removed from all that stuff. And so it took 5 years to get to trial. On this new case in Nevada, for example, that was just filed a couple weeks ago, it doesn't name any brokerages, doesn't name any agents, but it may take 5 years to sort that one out. I don't know. So don't expect an immediate answer. What will change the game here is if NAR succeeds in its motion for new trial, and if it doesn't, it will appeal the issue in front of a different court with a panel of different judges, because then you go from a district court, a federal district court, to a federal appeals court, and then above that is the Supreme Court. Okay, that's how the courts work. District court, appeals court, this is a circuit court. They're in the 8th Circuit here. You guys are all in the 9th Circuit. 9th Circuit Court of Appeals. This is going to be, I believe it's the 9th Circuit Nevada's in. I'm in the 9th Circuit in California. Anyways, this is the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals that will likely hear the same issue if this judge doesn't grant him a new trial, based on flawed jury instructions. So if the judge grants him a new trial, they're going to get a whole new jury in there, they're going to hear all this shit again, and they're going to be instructed differently on what standards to apply. And is everybody with me on this, or is it just like?
Yes.
No,
Extremely clear.
Okay, so what do we do in the meantime? What do I have to do now, Alex? What do I do differently? I don't want to get sued. I don't want people to say that I'm conspiring because you just told me my insurance policy doesn't give me coverage for antitrust stuff. So how do I not get sued? So the funny thing is, we've had 4 new lawsuits since the year began. We're seeing copycat lawsuits. None of them are focusing in on agents. None of them are naming agents. They're naming brokerages, associations, MLSs, that sort of thing. So that's good news for you guys. There's also been, in a case like this, if you say that there's a rule, if you have a jury finding, all we have now is a jury finding that says, this is the verdict I've reached. We don't have a court saying that we need to stop the actual practice. So the practice we have today, the rule that NAR has in place, where we cooperate with the buy side and we offer compensation, no one has said that rule needs to stop. There's no injunction. An injunction is a court order to either stop doing something or to do something. There's been no injunction issued by that court in Missouri or any court saying that we need to stop the rule. We need to cut the rule out and not do that anymore. So then, if that were to happen, then we'd have to figure out how we get compensated. On the listing side, it's pretty easy. You sign a listing agreement, you go to your seller and say, this is what you're going to pay me. But on the buy side, it's a little more difficult because the buyers now might have to get a buyer-broker representation agreement. You got to have some piece of paper that says, look, I represent you as a buyer, but I need to get paid. I'm either going to get paid because we asked the seller to pay me, in the event he doesn't pay me, you need to pay me. And how much do you need to pay me? It could be a fixed amount, it could be whatever you think. If you have a crazy, kooky buyer that is totally indecisive and you've been working with him for 2 years, you might want to charge him a little bit more because you're eating up a lot of your time. If you feel you got someone that knows exactly what they want, they're ready to go, you might want to charge them a little bit less. So what I'm saying is, there's no court order saying that we need to stop doing what we're doing. So for the most part, it's been pretty status quo in terms of how we practice real estate. I haven't called Mark, Otero, and Tim to say, we can't do this anymore. We're doing the same thing basically as we've been doing before. The differences are that we're a little bit more cautious, because these cases are there, of ensuring our clients know that they have a right to negotiate commissions, right? You guys should be pretty candid with them that they have a right to negotiate commissions. It's not, I charge 6% because that's the standard. Don't say that. I know you guys don't say that, but that's not what we do. We charge a commission based on the amount of work we think is gonna go into having to sell and market that house. I have a photographer, I'm gonna be at all the inspections because that's how I am. I'm a super perfectionist agent, I need to be at everything, that takes my time up. I do all these things, I know how many hours it's gonna take, that's how I charge you. It's based on something, it's not based on what everyone else is charging. That's how it should be in a competitive system. So make sure your clients understand why you're charging them whatever you're charging them. There are some websites that you can go to. Tim has them because I think Tim was on the call yesterday. I can give you those websites that will help you explain the value of your services and what you do. You don't just negotiate contracts and keep track of the deadlines. You attend things. They're freaking psychiatrists sometimes because they have a kooky family and you're always taking their calls about all these things going on. I mean, you guys do so much for them. There's a value to your time. So the way you explain that, go to that website. Tim's gonna give you that website. I don't have it in front of me. I had it in front of me yesterday, but Tim has it. If he doesn't have it,
Yeah.
then Tim will call me and I'll get it.
I got it, Alex, no worries.
You got it, okay, so
Yeah.
give him those things. So, okay, before we get to questions, let me just finish my final thought here because I get distracted very quickly and I can't think two things at once. My wife tells me that all the time, like, come on, Alex, I need you to listen to me. Okay, so, we are gonna have to wait and see. The motion for new trial will get decided on probably this spring. The briefing has been filed for new trial. The opposition by the defendants will be due sometime in like February. Then the reply briefs will be due sometime in March. The court will likely set a hearing. I can't guarantee it. They might just decide to make a ruling based on the briefing, but if they set a hearing, it'll probably be a month after that, or maybe more. So we're looking at late spring to have a decision on the motion for new trial. It could be earlier. In terms of the appeal, we probably won't get to that until this summer. The clock won't start running until the judge sort of perfects the jury's verdict. Once we have that verdict in place, NAR can then appeal it for the reasons that are gonna likely already stated in their motion for new trial. That won't be till probably this summer. How long does it take for an appeal to go through the courts? A long time. It can take a long time. It can take 2 years. And if it goes to the appellate courts and the Supreme Court grants what's called certiorari, it's a weird word, it's Latin, certiorari, I always have trouble with that one. Then the Supreme Court will hear this case, and if the Supreme Court hears it, we're looking at maybe 2028, 2029 to get a final decision. And in the meantime, you're gonna see little lawsuits like this filed. Little lawsuits like this filed. So so no one should be saying, I'm gonna get an answer tomorrow on what's gonna happen. It's all a little bit up in the air. I would advise you guys to be more candid with your clients. Nothing is set by law. Our brokers doesn't tell you what to charge your clients. Tim should never have said to you, and I don't think he has, because he wouldn't be standing right there looking at his lovely face right now. You guys don't take any listings under 6%. That's the way we don't do that. You guys charge whatever you want to charge. And if I were an agent, this is the last thing I'll say and I'll get questions. If I were an agent, I would want to be an agent at a real estate firm that charged 0%. And there may be other ones out there. I'm not saying Realty One Group, but I think we're the best at 100% because that was our shtick to begin with. Why? Because we clearly have no motive on charging a specific commission to our clients because we don't get any money out of it. Our brokerage doesn't make any money off of what you charge. You keep 100% of your commission. We make some money off of the final sale price. That's what we make money off of. We make money off the final sale price and you guys pay me, whatever you pay me per month. I don't know, $100, $150, whatever you guys are paying our brokerage per month to be an agent there. How much is it, Tim, in Nevada?
Say it again,
A
Alex?
monthly fee to the agent.
100.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so does that have anything to do with your commission? Do I care if you sell 50 homes or one home? I don't care. I mean, I care, I wanna have productive agents, But there's no motive because it doesn't make any sense for our business model to want to fix the commission at any certain rate. It doesn't help me whatsoever. So I would want to belong to a brokerage like that because that brokerage is a very good defense, as opposed to brokerages that split commissions with agents. You can argue that that type of brokerage might have a motive to want their agents to charge a higher commission because they'll get more money on their end. We don't do that. We don't do that. So I don't know who created this model. I mean, our CEO created the model in 2005. I mean, this guy's like Nostradamus. He like predicted that one day there would be an allegation that these commission splits lead to some sort of conspiracy in the industry. We don't have that problem. So good for him, and good for my life too, I guess, on the legal side. Okay. I have about 6 more minutes and I have to jump off this call because I have another call, so questions?
Yeah,
Just talk and talk loud because I have some other stuff going on in this office.
Regarding
But yes,
fair
lady
housing,
in the front.
don't we need to, in general, charge about the same for all our clients? Because although standardization between agents and between brokerages, is a problem, can't we get audited and get in trouble if we aren't consistent, like every client gets this percentage or whatever, rather than per deal, because then they can prove discrimination, this person got charged less, this person got charged more?
I would say the answer to that is no. I don't know who would audit you, but I would think that your argument is always gonna be, I charge based on what I see in front of me. So if I walk into a home and it's perfectly turnkey in a cul-de-sac in the best school district in Green Valley, and I have that listing, this thing is gonna sell fast if I price it right. And I don't need to offer a whole lot of compensation to the buy side because I'm gonna have clients on the buy side running to this house because they love it. Perfect kitchen, perfect bathrooms, fully landscaped, best school district, in the cul-de-sac. You might not wanna charge a whole lot, you might not wanna have your client pay the buy side a whole lot of money in that situation because this thing's gonna move fast. You don't need to do a whole lot of work marketing that property. On the flip side, if you walk into a home and it smells awful, there's 50 cats in that home. We had a case like that in Arizona where there were like 50 cats living in a home. It was awful. No landscaping, needs new paint, just carpets all stained everywhere because the cats peed everywhere. You might say to your client, hey, you're a wonderful person and I enjoy working with you. It's gonna be very difficult to move this house in 30 days like you want to. The one way we can try to attack it is by offering more compensation to get more buyers in this door. I can do that, but it's up to you ultimately to decide if you want to offer more compensation. But we need to have this house move because you want it to move. My job is to sell for as much as I can, as quick as I can. I can't sell this house in the way it looks right now for the amount of money we want. What we can do is try to offer more compensation to the buy side. Let's offer 4% to the buy side. I'll take whatever you're going to take, and that's how it should go. That's how it should go. The amount of work that you foresee yourself putting into selling a home should be how you base your price. That's what I do in legal, and that's what other people do. If I have a shitty case this guy's not gonna win, I'm gonna have to invest a ton of effort and resources for me to go work up this case and be super creative. I'm gonna charge a little higher rate. A little higher hourly rate. If I see a slam dunk case in front of me, they're like, okay, all I gotta do is write one letter. This guy's for sure gonna win. He's got the bruise here, and I can just take a photo of it and send it to the other person. You hit him. He wants $5,000 for that bruise. All right, that's pretty quick. So I hope that answers your question. So I wouldn't worry about getting audited. I wouldn't worry about charging a similar rate. I would do the exact opposite. I would try to charge different rates based on what I see in front of me. And if all the houses are middle condition, pretty good, pretty bad, not great, then you might have a more consistent price. I don't know.
Hey, Alex, it's Tim. I know you gotta go. Is there a NAR lawsuit panel at the summit that you're gonna be on, that you can tell us what day it may or may not be, if you get my idea here?
Yeah, so I will be at Summit. I will be presenting, I just got my times today. I will be presenting in what's called the breakout session. I believe I'll be there and I can answer questions. If you guys wanna come up to me in person and say, hey Alex, I'm in Tim's office, you talk to us, then I'll give you all my full attention because I appreciate you guys being here today. You guys have a lot of things you could be doing. But I can tell you that I'm presenting on Monday, February 5, and I'm presenting 2 back-to-back sessions. I'm gonna repeat myself in case people wanna attend a different breakout session at 2:15 p.m. and at 3:15 p.m. at the Venetian. So I think you guys all have a free ride Congratulations, it's very honorable of our leadership team to grant our agents there a free ticket. It's gonna be an amazing event. We've got all sorts of celebrities going. I'm not supposed to tell you who's going because they don't let me do that. But you'll know the names when you get there, and you'll have a great time. So yeah, Monday, February 5th, 2:15 and 3:15, we will be doing a legal presentation. I should have some more updates by then on specifically the commission lawsuits. The Nevada one, I'm gonna dissect a little bit more. We'll get into that one. But like I said, in the meantime, guys, just don't use the word standard. Don't say I'm charging you this because all the agents in this neighborhood charge that. That's not how we decide prices. Don't say, look, we're gonna offer 2% to the buy side because that's what everyone does. That's the standard. No. You don't wanna do that. That suggests that there's agreements between agents, a meeting of the minds that would go to the element of conspiracy, improving antitrust. And we don't wanna go help anyone prove that element. Because I know we don't do that. I've never heard of an agent speaking to another agent about always offering a certain amount to the buy side. And if you're doing that, then, good news.
Okay, Alex, we appreciate you, we thank you for taking the time. I'm sure there's 30 questions here, but you'll get them on Monday, I'm sure.
Yeah,
When do we
yes,
see you?
come see me on the 5th and I'll answer your questions, guys. Hey, thanks for your time. Wonderful office. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye, Alex, thank you. So I don't know about you guys, but whenever I talk to Alex, my head hurts. I think I know what he's talking about, but then I'm not sure if I know what he's talking about. But the lawsuits are gonna continue, but if you think about it, nothing's changed. I signed 30 listing agreements this week, 5%, 6%, 4%, 5.25. So just go about your business, really. If it's, the only thing that you could say is that if someone says, yo, you lawyers lost, you $5 billion. Say, well, you know what, that was in Missouri. That doesn't affect me in Nevada, to be honest with you, and I don't know what those, Realty One was not part of that lawsuit, we had nothing to do with it, we're here. So let's get started and sign the listing agreement.
So Tim, they're not settling then? NAR's
We
not?
don't know what
So-
NAR's doing. They
But
have
he was
time to
saying that-
settle, or they can appeal, and it can be a whole new lawsuit
Okay,
that drags it out another 2 or 3 or 4 years.
At least,
So,
yeah.
We'll see. Alrighty, and before I forget, Suzanne, if you want to, let's give away the bags real quick. And before Tim comes up, because, we can't do half of this stuff without our friends at Rock Title Gang, okay? And on page 3 of the RPA, doesn't it say escrow officer and title company?
yes.
We know what we put there, don't we? Okay. Alright, there he goes. Alright,
Put me, but
There you
put
go.
one of
That's
our
it,
escrow
that's it.
officers.
Winner is.
First bag goes to number 7, Carrie Clark.
Carrie?
And the second bag goes to number 19, Micah Shelton.
Very nice. Oh, good guy. Alright, you grab that at the end of the meeting, okay? One other thing before I forget, on Monday and Tuesday of the event, both of our OAs from 9 to about 1 will not be here. The office is open, music will be playing, computers will be working, but they will not be here because they get to go a half a day to the summit. So just keep that, okay? What? Thanks to Hulu. Okay, and last but not least, 2 more things. He's gonna talk about his open house next week, his class. Right here.
Yep.
I would suggest tomorrow, come to Mark's class, that's here. It would be a great precursor to Tim's class, it would kind of coincide, okay? And if you're a mentee, this Friday's class will be at the Southwest office because of training that corporate is gonna be in town using this room on Friday the 2nd, okay? So Micah, I'm trying to see who else might be here. Well, tell me, what other mentees, that day you're gonna go to the Southwest office, okay? Does anyone not know who this guy is? No, well, we all know who this guy is, right? Gary, Tim, thanks for coming by.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know we're running late today, but I can't thank you enough for sticking around. I've been in technology like since the 90s, okay, just dating myself. And there are very few products that have come along since then that have moved me. This product that I'm going to talk about today has moved me. And I think it's almost life-changing. So before I go there, I was thinking, I look pretty sharp in my coat today. I changed it up a little bit. And then Tim walks in. I'm like, so I look down, I look at my shoes, I'm like, my shoes are kind of cool, right? And then Micah walks in. My friend, stand up. Let's see the kicks. All I have for you today is this. So thank you for sticking around. Show of hands. Any frustration, any confusion with social media? Everybody's hands gotta be up. It's gotta be up. It's gotta be important to you. Here's why. I believe that to be true. 100%. Everybody hopefully is in agreement with me on that one. Here's why. There's 300 million social media active users across all networks. 300 million. Consumer, us, you, your clients, prospects, spend about 2.5 hours on average daily on social media. 74%, that close 74% right there, will research your brand to determine if you're credible or not. Or if they're gonna buy something. I know when I went to buy my Stanley Cup, I had a spreadsheet, I had all the cups on it. I spent 2.5 hours and my family was mad at me. That's me. People will do that. All right, so experts say, have you ever broken down how much you make hourly? Don't say it out loud. But have you done that? How much are you worth per hour?
Which year?
Oh my God.
Yeah, which year, right? Experts say that it takes about an hour to create one post. You have to think about what you want. You have to research what you want. Then what's your call to action? You have to put that together. And then you have to find an image or an article that speaks to all that. And by the time you've done all of that, you've probably spent about an hour for one post to maybe one platform, Facebook, excuse me. And I know you can cross posts. $50 an hour. So what are we doing? This is what we're doing for most of us. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing it myself. I go find the image, I go find the content, I put it all together, and I spend more than an hour sometimes. And what happens? Inconsistent posting, because you have time constraints. You're real estate agents, you're not social media experts. You should be interacting with your clients, right? So time constraints, and again, one channel, maybe Facebook, maybe Instagram, because you can cross posts. Or option B, you outsource it. You find somebody to help you. You gotta get the vibe right between the two of you. You know that I don't like the way that looks. Can you go back to the drawing board and fix it? Or get cookie cutter content. Now if anybody's like keeping matters current, all good. I'm not hating. But what happens is that Karis, Claudia, Dodie, Wendy, it's all the same content. It's cookie cutter. There's no personal, wow. There's no branding. And you see them all over Facebook, right? It's not my solution, but I'm here to tell you the solution. So this platform is AI driven, and it will automatically create relevant, on brand, ready to share real estate content. It will monitor, curate, personalize, create. You sit down with a cup of coffee, you review the posts, you can do 30 posts in 5 minutes without even touching Canva.
Really?
No research. You just sit down with your cup of coffee, your libation of choice, and review and publish. You push it out onto your calendar 30 plus days in advance.
Canva is what you say does it something?
One more time.
I missed it. Canva is what you say does it something?
Canva is a product platform that many of us use to design stuff.
Right.
This is Canva. I did this in
That's what
Canva.
I'm saying. Okay.
All right. So review posts, publish to your calendar 30+ days out to these platforms. One click, schedule it, done. Is anybody mind blown?
What is it?
I'm getting there. So this solution platform removes ChatGPT. I don't know if anybody's using it, amazing program. There's the cost, or you get the free version, that's $20. Canvas, if you get the pro version, that's what, 15-ish? Zapier is a marketing connectivity program, that's like $60-ish. Hootsuite is, again, just another platform for marketing and social media, $100. Removes all of them. So how does it work? So this AI model learns you. Who has a bio? Show of hands.
We're working on
Okay, nice, nice. Work on the bio. ChatGPT can help you with your bio. But anyway, get a bio done. And then this system will go out and learn your content. It will look at each one of your social media platforms, and it will learn you, how you post, what you post, the tonality, so on and so forth. And then whatever your niche or niche is, potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Number 2, you get your brand logo already in place within the platform, your brand colors, we know what those are, and it goes to work and it creates all your templates. And it's a variety of branded content for Instagram, LinkedIn, posts, reels, stories, video, branded videos, branded to you. It automatically monitors everything here you see on your screen. Industry news and trends, regional news groups, your own content. If you have a blog, a website, it's going to monitor that and suggest posts for you. You get a review, it's going to find a review for you, and it's going to create a post. Third-party URLs, you find something out there on the internet, you're still looking, you plug it in, it's going to create something for you. This is what it looks like. This is kind of the dashboard. And each one of these are just posts that the system put together. You have obviously your colors, your professional picture. Here's another one. These 2 posts, the system went out and went to NAR, found mortgage rate update January 4th, wrote all the caption, put in the emojis, your branding, and then it created another one for you in case you weren't vibing on this one, right? Did you know the weekly change in mortgage rates does not yield a meaningful change in what typically monthly mortgage payment would be $400? You haven't done anything, you haven't created anything. All you did is just went out to NAR, pulled in this article, and this did all the work for you. Cool, right? So benefits, obviously time and money. You're top of mind because you're consistently posting. You get to engage locally, brand consistency, showcase your real estate expertise, share timely insights. Because it's always looking for you, it's always searching for timely information that you can share and become the expert. Share regional trends if you so desire. You're gonna easily save 20 hours per month. I know you put a lot of time into your stuff, right? It's just mind-blowing. Eliminate design and agency costs, no prompts, no Canvas skills needed. Have I piqued your interest?
Yes!
All right.
Show me.
Here's what happens. So there's a discovery call, and it's with a real human. I really like this, because there's, like, you can go out and sign up for something and never talk with a human, right? So you have a discovery call. It's a 45-minute call of which the founder or his team will actually audit your social media platforms. They'll go out and look at them. And when you get on the call with them, they're gonna have some easy fixes that they will relay that information to you. How to enhance your profile and how to drive impressions. And then they'll provide a score for you, I believe, and then actual strategies you can put in place. And then they will demo what I've been talking about. It's a 45-minute free call, no pressure.
Can you remind me, is this Canva you're talking about? I missed it, I had a.
He hasn't said it yet.
Now we
Oh,
have
you
I haven't told you.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna tell you.
Oh,
But,
okay.
but, if I pique your interest enough, I think this is just, it holds immense value for you guys as agent. I'm gonna sign up, because I need it for my business. I will send you a link to schedule your call with them. I get nothing out of this. I'm just moved by the product. I have goosebumps, I have like 3 layers on.
You really did. That's
Yes.
why we're here.
Text,
My day.
text, I'm in, your first name, your last name, to my number, and I will send you a link. You go out, click on the link, and it's Calendly. You choose a time that they're available and you're available, book yourself. And use Rock, put in Rock as a discount. You get a discount for being with, you know, your favorite title company.
Any hints on the price?
Knew that was gonna come up. Oops, I like that answer. So, real quick, early in on my business, I'm like, I hate cold calling, but I'm gonna invest in a dialer. So I got a dialer. Dialer was $100 a month. It enhanced my business. I think spending $100 a month for your business, there could be a tax write-off, is worth it. The time and energy and frustration that's gonna leave your life for being involved in a product like this, I think easily $100 a month is, and I'm not saying that's what it is. I know there's 2 tiers, and I know there's a small setup cost. I'm gonna leave that to them. That's their business. Right? I'm just the messenger. That's all I'm doing. I do know that, again, ChatGPT, $20, Ken, $15. What else? It's worth it. Trust me. I already have a couple people in this room that have calls scheduled. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome. Thank you. And when you can, write us in on escrows. We greatly appreciate that. Love your feedback. We appreciate the ability to work with all of you.
Tim Sanders,
Be safe.
everybody, there he is. I'm gonna get on one of these calls, because I wanna find out what it is. Yeah, but it's right, if you can do everything for one price, you know, if it was $200, I'd probably do a realtor. Who wants to do all this stuff? Unless you're really good at it, like, Steve Dunn, here you go, well, Steve will do it for you. Yeah,
But you can still be good at it. You can
Yeah.
still sprinkle in what you
Absolutely.
like doing. I like the creative part of it.
But, hope you got something out of Alex. If you come into the summit, he'll be there, real approachable guy. Buy him lunch, he'll spend 2 hours with you. Yeah, one of those kind of guys, yeah? Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So, hopefully, if you do go to the summit, all of you have been getting, I think the other day, you got 2 text messages from the office, like back to back. So I get LVR dues, remember that scared the shit out of some of you guys? Then, either Monday or Tuesday at the summit, we'll send out a similar text. And maybe just our office, we'll meet up somewhere for an office photo with, maybe Peyton Manning will be in the photo.
Tim, give us like an hour or 2, like you did last year. You were sending it
Yeah,
out to all of us.
So, or maybe Erin Andrews or Terry Crews will be in the photo with us, you never know. Exactly. So it's just 3 of the people. I think Peyton's the keynote speaker, I think. So, it's a great event, it's free. If you're gonna, I went to the same event at RE/MAX 11 years in a row, and I paid $7.95. There's no free shit at RE/MAX. No, it's nothing. So you get to go to this for nothing, and you don't go, why are you a realtor? I swear to God. Go back to dealing cards at the Gold Coast. You know, be a racket. All right, guys, have a great day. Thank you all for putting up with this.